All right, so in this video, we will continue working on our application here. So we were able to get our window view here, and we're able to connect it to the corresponding ID. And then we were able to set a background color to red. Very good. So let's do the same with our button here. Before we forget, I'm going to say try me, which is try me button. Now remember, we have to cast it because it's not just a view, it's a type of a view. That's why we have to say find view by ID, but we have to put the button here. And here we can say r.id dot try me button. There we go. Let's go ahead and move this right about here. Okay, first thing there, then we try me button. And how about getting this also here? That's not bad. Okay. Now that we have a try me button, let's go ahead and attach an event listener to it. It's try me button. Set on click listener, new on click listener. Okay, so that means here is where we are going to put our logic that will be called once we tap on the button. Okay. For now, let's go ahead and log into our console here. We haven't talked about this, but we're going to go ahead and log into our console here, whatever we are doing inside here. That way we can see what's going on. So there is a class called log class that allows us to see what our app is doing. Okay, these are things that will be shown here, so the user won't be able to see it, which is good because we are the developers. We need to be able to see, debug or see things or test things out in our applications when we are building them. Okay, we're gonna go ahead here and say for log, that's the class. As you can see, it's under android.util package. And we can use the first one here for debugging or the next one. Let's just keep with the first one. D stands for debugging, and we'll talk more about that. And then here we have to pass in a string. Let's just say test, something like that. And the next parameter is going to be something, let's put another, let's say tap. Okay, save this. Let's go ahead and run. Can see there it is. We should see something happening here. So tap, see, say test, tap. That's good. It's working. Perfect. Idea here is that when we have this try me button here, we want, as you click on it, we want to start changing the color in the background here. So we know how to change the color of our window, our background here, right? Now we have to make this dynamic. How do we do that? Okay, so the first thing we need to think about is, okay, so colors, as you see here, if we get rid of this, let's go back here. If you have an overset set background color, it takes in an integer. Okay, that means the colors that we put when we say color class dot red, that is actually an integer that is being stored in the background of our code. Okay, so this representation here is represented as an integer, which is very useful to us because now, one, we want to randomly generate a number that would correspond to a certain color. So this means the first thing we need to think about is, so we talk about integers and we talk about random numbers and we're talking about a group of the same types. And that should ring a bell that we probably are talking about an array here. So let's go ahead and create an array for colors. We're going to call this private int. All right, we're just going to say it's an int array. So we're going to say colors. You've seen this notation. So what we're saying here, we're saying this colors here is an array of type int. So it's going to hold integers. Perfect. So inside here, let's go ahead and create the actual array. So we're going to say colors is equal to new int. So what's happening here, this is a very interesting notation. So we are actually instantiating a new array, creating a new array of integers. And then as we create it, we are right away also inserting items into that array. This is That's what it means here. So we created the array because we know here, and then we go ahead and put items inside of that array. Now we said here that this color.red returns an integer, which is great. So that means here we can put all of our colors. We can say color dot cyan, okay, send color dot green, say color okay, you get the idea, like that. So now we have an array called colors, which has all of these colors as integers here. So now we have our colors array. Perfect. So this means if we want to access, for instance, color red, where is color red? It's here, right? That means it's on 0, 1, 2 index. So now we can just go ahead and call the colors array. And then since we know it's array, we pass in 0, 1, 2. So the second index. So now we have a way to access that. Okay. So if we save this and run once again, we should see the same color. Okay, nothing has changed except we know now we are referencing the color red from our colors array here. We want to make sure that all of this happens inside here when users tap on the button. Okay, we need to figure out a way to create random numbers. So there is a class called random class that we can use already. Again, it's all pre-built. We don't have to do that ourselves. Okay, we're going to use that class that will help us to randomly choose colors here as we tap. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to say random. That's the class. We're going to call this random. It's going to be equal to new random. Okay, so instantiating it. And then what do we need to do? We are going to create, and now we're going to go ahead and create the actual random number at a given time. So we're going to say int because it's all going to be an integer. Okay, that's what we want. We're going to call this random num. Okay, this is one number each time you tap. Okay, we're going to use our random object here to start creating our random number. So random dot next int. That's the method we need to use. Now inside of this next int, we need to pass in a number here, integer, which needs to be the length of our colors array here. Because we need, if you think about it, we need a way to know, okay, if we are creating random numbers, what is the range? Is it between 0 and 100 or 0 and 200 or 0 and 3, right? In this case, we want to make sure that each time that we tap on the button, we get a number that is between the length of this array here, because it would not make any sense if the length of this array is 6 and then we get a number that is beyond the length of this array. Then we'll get an error, and that's bad because it's going to say, well, this array here length is 4 and I'm getting you a random number 7, which is not part of this array here. Could have gone ahead and count, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we know the length is 9 and put it here. But we're smart enough to not do that because this array could change. We could add more numbers here and that wouldn't work. We can just create a variable here that will give us the length of this array. Say int color array length. How do you get the array length? Well, you say colors because that's the name of the array dot length. There we go. So now we can use this, copy and put it here. So now as we create this random number, so next int, which means it's going to go and find randomly an integer between 0 and the length of this array. It will never go beyond the length of this array, which is exactly what we want. So now that we have this, we can comment this out. Remember here, this window view. So let's get that out of there and let's put it here. So now check this out. Instead of putting a 2 here, we can just use, because we know that this is an integer. So each time you tap, it's going to go ahead and create a new random number, right? Which is confined between the color array length, which is what we need. Okay, so we copy this and put inside here. So now our colors, so we're passing here our colors array. So we're saying colors array is going to be, let's say if random number the first time is 1, it's going to be colors array 1, index 1. So it's going to be 0, 1, it's going to be green. If next time is 0, it's going to be colors 0, it's going to be cyan. Okay, so that's what we're doing. Let's save this and run once again. And we should have, okay, it's white, that's fine. Let's click. Oh, look at that. Click again, look at that. Oh, wow. And yes, there will be times when the colors will not change. That's just because our random generator, it's not perfect. So it generates the same number, okay? And that's fine. But you can see. Now, let me prove you that we are actually getting different numbers here. Let's go ahead and say the following. Here, let's say random. And for the value we want to see, let's say here random number. So we're going to see what number is being generated. This is random ND. So we get an error here because these are not compatible. We're passing here an integer, which is fine for what we're trying to do, but in order for us to see a log, we need to make it a string. So we're going to go ahead and use the string class again, dot value of, that's one that we haven't used. So here, what are we doing here? We are invoking a string class, and we say we want the value of whatever we're passing in here. So if the value of integer we pass in is 1, then we're gonna make it a string, which it's gonna then be able to show here. So now if we save, we will be able to see the numbers being generated as we tap our button. Okay, let's go ahead and run once again. All right, so let's open this monitor here. So just keep your eyes around here, okay? So you tap, random is 2. If you look here, so if they say random is 2, should be red. Let's see, 2 is red. That means 2 would be the index 2. So this is index 0, cyan, 1, 2 is red. Perfect, so this works. Let's see what next here. So it's 3 and it's blue. Is it true? Be detective here. Where is blue? Blue is here. So that means 0, 1, 2, 3. Oh, yes, you see? Okay, you keep going. Now you have these great tools that you can use to start creating really fun little applications that are fun. I mean, it's really awesome to be able, if you've never done this, and to be able to create something simple, but something that you should be proud of. You're able to create an app that does something fun. You're creating random numbers, and as those random numbers are created, you're changing the background color. I encourage you to go and add more colors here, okay, as many colors as you can, and play around, okay, and see how fun this is. All right, so I'll see you in the next video.